Hey guys, it's your boy Tacho here, back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be taking a look at the Japanese tier list for Fire Emblem Heroes, and the website that I'm going to be using for this is Game 8. So you can check the link for this website up top on my browser, or I'll also link to this particular tier list in the description of this video so you can check it out for yourself. But I thought this was a pretty interesting tier list to take a look at because I know the Game Press tier list is probably the most popular one that's going around for the English community. But it is nice to take a look at how the Japanese players think because typically the Japanese players are ranked very high in modes like Aether Raids and stuff like that. So let's just see what the Japanese players think about the units and see where they tier them. Okay, so here, all this stuff right here is just like graphical stuff. Oh, so, alright, here are the fallen units that they've ranked. So, okay, they use a number-based system as opposed to a letter-based system like we use. So when English players make a tier list, it's usually like S tier, A tier, B tier, and so on. These guys are using a numbered tier list from a score up to 10. So Fallen Ike and Fallen Julia have a 9.5 out of 10. Leon has a 9.0 out of 10, and Fallen Corrin has a 9.5 out of 10. And the GHB Ashnard has an 8.5 out of 10. Okay, very interesting. Alright, let's actually take a look at the tier list, though. Okay, so the cutoff point for 9.9 is Fallen Tiki. So this is the highest score that they give to any unit, 9.9. None of the units on this tier list are scored as a 10 out of 10. So I guess that's interesting that they don't think any of the units in the game are completely perfect. I guess I can agree with that to a degree. Okay, so according to Japan, these are the top 5 best units in the game. So Duo Idun, Tibarn, Duo Alphonse, Legendary Azura, and Fallen Tiki. Okay, what do I think about this? Alright, the 2 duo units I think are fair. The duo skills on both of these guys, of course, are incredible, and they provide amazing support to your teammates. I think I actually mentioned both of these duo units myself in my top 10 most useful 5-star exclusive units you can summon. So I don't have any qualms with these particular duo units being on the top 5. Legendary Azura, of course, I think she deserves to be in top 5. Not necessarily because of how good she is herself, but what she can do for your other units is just out of this world. There is no dancer in the game that's quite like her. She is by far the best dancer and arguably the best supporter as well, since if you give her Hone Attack 4 or any of the Hone or Fortify 4 skills, she's the only unit right now capable of buffing a unit to +7 to all stats, which is very crazy. So I think Azura definitely deserves her place in top 5 units. And then we have Tibarn and Fallen Tiki, and I'm not quite sure if I agree with them right now. So the strengths that they say here for Tibarn is that he can move 3 spaces if conditions are met, which is of course very powerful. Tibarn is a flying type unit, so he can fly over any obstacle, and flying units with 3 space movement is just so insane in this game. And he also has a skill that grants a guaranteed follow-up attack. Well, I mean, that's true, but the condition to meet that isn't always going to work out because they have to be at full HP. And there's really no guarantee the foe will be at full HP in certain modes. Like if you're playing in Aether Raids, if you flip the Bolt Tower or the Bolt Trap or something like that and you end up hitting the foes, they're not going to be at full HP anymore. Or if you have Duma on the team or something, like all these little things that can happen to prevent the foes from being at full HP. And without his guaranteed follow-up attack, Tibarn isn't really all that crazy. So honestly, I feel like Naysala is just about on par with Tibarn, even though, yes, Tibarn is slightly better. Yes, Tibarn has way more attack, but Naysala has that speed, and the speed is very handy for him because he can just get double attacks naturally. He doesn't need to rely on his weapon to give him a follow-up attack like Tibarn does. So if they're going to have Tibarn ranked as a 9.9, I don't think Naysala would be that far behind, honestly. So, I don't know. I kind of don't agree with Tibarn being a top 5 unit. And then we have Fallen Tiki, who I also I'm kind of on the fence on Fallen Tiki. She could be up here. You could make some arguments. Of course, she's a colorless type unit with built-in distant counter on her weapon. Built-in distant counter is always going to be better because that means you can run whatever A-slot passive you want. And the A-slot passives just keep on getting more strong and strong as time passes. So we've got stuff like Distant Defense 4, the Stance level 4s, or the Double Stance level 3s. There's just so many really powerful ace skills you could give to this Tiki. So because she has built-in distant counter, and she's also a colorless unit, so not a lot of units are going to have colorless type triangle advantage. I think this Fallen Tiki has some arguments to be in top 5. Also, if you have Springy Dune and you can support her with the duo skill there and negate effective against armors as well as effective against dragons, this Tiki is going to come into her own and she's going to be like one of the best tanks ever. So yeah, I guess if Springy Dune is taken into account, then sure, this Fallen Tiki could be an A tier as well. Or not A tier, but 9.9 out of 10 tier. So okay, I don't have a problem with the top 5 heroes they have besides Tibarn. So let's look at the next tier list they have. So this one is a 9.5 out of 10. So basically these are the second in command units. And they have Fallen Ike. Okay, no complaints from me with that. Fallen Julia. Honestly, depending on what the criteria is, I feel like Fallen Julia could actually be a 9.9 out of 10 unit. Okay, Young Kata, very good. Obviously, her weapon is just broken. It gives her effective damage on like everything in the kitchen sink, and then it gives her built-in advantage. So that Young Kata is dumb. Okay, OG Idun, she's also very good. OG Idun's weapon has to be like one of the best aged weapons in the entire game. Even to this day, it holds up so well. And if they had released a unit, like if they released a new banner tomorrow and one of the units had the exact same weapon as this Idun, I would be like, okay, sure, that's really powerful. So that just goes to show how well Idun has aged. And they have Sothis as well, so Sothis is pretty good too. She negates effective against dragons, and then she has distant counter. So very good unit. She's also very quick, so she has the option to player phase a little bit. Okay, Fallen Corin M, he is a brand new released unit, so I don't really have too much to comment on about him, but yeah, I mean, his stats are crazy. His weapon is pretty crazy as well, giving him +5 to all stats and the guard effect, so it's hard to argue that he wouldn't be in a basically second highest tier in the game if we were ranking him. Okay, Peony, yup, she's totally one of the best units, and she's also probably the best dancer outside of Azura, so she deserves to be up there. Okay, Duo Ephraim, Legendary Julia, don't have any complaints with them. Brave Eliwood, oh, interesting, Brave Eliwood. Yeah, I mean, his weapon is very good. It's one of the few that has effective damage on beasts. And he's a pretty good Gale Forcer for a horse unit, so I don't have a problem with Eliwood being up here. Okay, Tiki, Legendary Tiki, I don't have a problem with her either. She has been showing her age a little bit. I've noticed, because I have her at +10, and I run her in arena modes and such, and she doesn't feel as powerful as she was when she came out. Like, it's hard for her to get double attacks now. She was very fast for the time of her release, but now, like, the units have been getting so fast that I don't think her speed is really saving her any grace anymore. So I typically tend to run Bold Fighter on her all the time now. I know back then it was better to give her Special Fighter, but I think Bold Fighter is a little better on her now. Serdar, okay, Serdar, his weapon is still busted as hell. Sinmara doing that free 20 damage. And he has Serdar's Menace too to debuff the foes. So yeah, Serdar, he's still totally one of the best units, but just like Legendary Tiki, I feel like he's aged a little bit badly. Too many units these days are coming out with built-in null follow-up, and if you have null follow-up, then Serdar is going to go down really easily, because he has no defenses against fast units besides Wary Fighter. So I feel like Serdar has dropped in quality, but Sinmara alone is enough to just destroy the arena meta. So Serdar deserves to be up here for sure. Okay, Winter Sothis. Depending on the arguments you want to make, Winter Sothis could absolutely be a top 5 unit in the game. Her stat line, her BST is the highest right now, and she has a super boon in speed, so she's super quick. She's a really good unit. The only downside to her is that she's an armored unit and she has weakness to armor effective damage, which you can actually negate if you've got the duo Idun. So I feel like with the right arguments, you could actually place this Winter Sothis a lot higher than the second highest tier. Okay, Brave Ike, no complaints for me. Okay, Nagi. Oh, that's pretty cool. So Nagi is in the second highest tier according to Japan. That's very cool. So the thing about Nagi is that I pulled a whole bunch of copies of Nagi on that Edelgard banner. So I have a bunch of merges on my Nagi now. Alright, that's pretty cool for me, I guess. Alright, Thrasir is up here. Interesting. So, wait, hold on. So Thrasir is up here, but not Legendary Celica? That is interesting. I feel like Legendary Celica is just better than Thrasir. Okay, but I mean, it's hard to make that argument. They are both, like, on par with each other for the most part. Celica has Null Follow-Up and Desperation, which I think is a little bit better. Thrasir gets Desperation, and she also has, I think it's +4 to all her stats if she's within 3 spaces of an ally. And then she has effective damage on dragon types, which is pretty good. But, I mean, effective against dragons, in the case of Celica, I don't think that's really the biggest deal, because that Legendary Celica has extra damage on her weapon based on how high the foe's res is. So I would kind of place Legendary Celica at least in the same tier or higher than Thrasir. So I don't agree with Japan on this. And then finally, for green, we have Valentine's Alm, which I think is fair. He has a pretty good duo skill, and also this is one of the best units in the game to run Repel on. So totally agree with that Valentine's Alm being up here. Okay, and for colorless, we have these 5 here. So Legendary Alm, Veronica, Fallen Korinef, Valentine Faye, and Kainigus. I don't really have any complaints with this. I think actually Legendary Leaf could be in here too. I personally hold Legendary Alm and Legendary Leaf like in the same regard. I would keep them together. I don't think either one is any more better than the other, because Leaf, of course, has that Gale Force thing that he can do, and he's the only ranged unit in the entire game that has access to a Gale Force type of skill. Whereas Legendary Alm reduces the foe's defense on his weapon, and then he also has Lunar Flash, which is crazy powerful. So I wouldn't put Legendary Alm above Legendary Leaf. I would keep them together. Veronica, of course, she's held up so well, so I have no complaints with that. Fallen Korinef, maybe she's fallen a little bit nowadays, but she's still very good. I think you could keep her up there for sure. Valentine's Faye, she's just like the dumbest unit in the game. Any bow armored unit that has access to Bold Fighter and the Brave Bow is going to be stacked beyond belief. And we also just recently got the Spendthrift Bow, so Valentine Faye got even better than she was before. And we have Kainigus, who, I mean, Kainigus and Tibarn are in the same boat where these units were just outrageously strong in their home game. And Kainigus is actually very powerful as well in Heroes, so I think he deserves to be up here. He has one of the best weapons in the game for sure, with built-in distant counter and then +4 to all stats if you meet the conditions. So don't mess with Kainigus. He is one of the most powerful ranged bait units in the game. So that covers us for the top 2 highest tiers that Japan has. So as far as their top 5, I don't know if I completely agree with everything. I mean, the 2 duo units and Legendary Azura I agree with. But then Fallen Tiki, I feel like she's arguable, and then Tibarn I feel doesn't deserve to be in top 5 anymore. But for this second highest tier, I think it's pretty fair. And next up, they've got this tier here with heroes evaluated as a 9.0 out of 10. Okay, so we have the Dancing Micaiah, we have Kyria, Shannon, Lakche, Lif, Brave Alm. Okay, Brave Alm, I don't know if I would keep him up here. Brave Alm is very good, to be sure, and he has Send Scale, which is an amazing A slot, but I don't really think Brave Alm deserves to be in the same tier as units like Shannon and Lakche, so I'd probably drop him down. Okay, Agreen, Marita, Midori. Oh, Midori is in here, okay. I don't know about Midori, man. Agreen is just way better than Midori. I'd probably drop Midori down as well to an 8.5. Okay, both of the Bylets. Iago. Oh, okay. Okay, Iago. Hold on. Is Iago the only free-to-play unit up here so far? Hold on. Let me just, really quick, let's just check the list and let me see if there's another free-to-play option. Okay, Reinhardt. All right, that makes sense, I guess. But is that it? Is just Iago and Reinhardt are the two best free-to-play units according to Japan? Okay, and Racing too. That makes sense as well, but wow. Noah Versa? Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So, wow, very interesting. So, according to Japan, Iago is the best free-to-play unit to get the +10 on, alongside Reinhardt and Racing. Okay. Well, sure. Alright, Legendary Ike, Lysithea, Legendary Roy, Legendary Marth. So that covers us for red. I think so, yeah. I don't really think I have any complaints with this. Legendary Ike, maybe not anymore. Unless they refine Ragnall, I think this guy could probably drop to an 8.5. I mean, you look at Legendary Roy, and he's got built-in distant counter with effective against dragons, which is just better than Ike only having built-in distant counter. And Legendary Marth as well, I think, is better than Ike now, because his weapon actually has built-in bonus doubler. So you can do a lot of crazy stuff with that Marth. He's still very good. And Fire Emblem is a nice B-slot skill that he has, so he can just destroy all the dragon-type units in the game. Okay, and then for blue, they have Ophelia, Nils, Nyla, Legendary Chrom, and Brave Lucina. I think that's fair. I don't really think I'm forgetting any blue units. Unfortunately, blue seems to be like one of the weakest colors in the game. They don't really release too many good blue units. So they're going to have to do something better about these blue units in the future, but for now, I guess this is fine. Okay, and then Legendary Celica, Fallen Leon, Young Merrick, Ocean, Rinka, and Annette for green. I think you could make the argument that Legendary Celica and Annette could both be bumped up. Legendary Celica is at the very least as good as Thrasir or better. And if you want to say that Legendary Azura is a top 5 unit in the game, then Annette should totally be bumped up as well, just for her ability to support a team and provide that +1 movement. So I would also have Annette moved up on the tier list here. I'm not entirely sure all of the metrics that Japan is using to grade these units here. Okay, and for colorless, they have Eleonora, Layla, and Bramimond. I have no complaints with that either. Bramimond, honestly, Bramimond could move up as well to the 9.5 tier. And Layla probably too. I mean, Layla, if you give Layla Disarm Trap, she's just an automatic win in Aether Raids. There's nothing you can do about Layla. Being able to walk over any trap, get an attack, and then switch places with another unit, like, she's a cheat code in Aether Raids. And she's basically an automatic win in that mode. So I feel like she could probably be bumped up as well to a 9.5. But otherwise, I don't really have too many complaints here, so I think Japan did an overall decent job with this tier list. And then for cavalry units, we have Sigurd and Legendary Eliwood. Okay, Legendary Eliwood, sure, but Sigurd, I don't know about him right now. He's totally fallen off. He's not as good as he was when he came out, and man, this guy came out a long time ago. So I don't really think Sigurd holds up too well anymore. Reinhardt is very good, of course. Legendary Ephraim is still pretty good too. Yarn as well on this list. Yarn is very good. And then they have Legendary Leaf all the way down here. I would honestly bump Legendary Leaf all the way up to the same tier as Legendary Alm at least. I feel like those two are on par. And then we have Bernie and Brave Lynn, which I think that's fair for them to be a little bit lower than Leaf and Alm. So I'd probably keep them here in the 9.0 tier. And for armored units, we have Halloween Myrrh. Yes, I agree with that. I mean, Halloween Myrrh, her weapon really did not age that well. Halloween Hector, I feel like he could be bumped up probably. He has a very good duo skill. But the thing about Hector's duo skill is that it's really easy to get screwed in arena modes if you're playing on a map where the opponents spawn on the left side of the screen as opposed to the top. So in situations like that, his duo skill is completely useless. So yeah, I guess you could say he's a 9.0. Okay, Valentine's Ike, sure. Picnic Flora, sure. And Zelgius, okay. I don't really have too many complaints with that. Okay, for blue, they have Forsyth, Winter Nino, Harden, Brave Hector, and Rudolph. Okay, I think Rudolph is better than all of these other blue units here, and Rudolph could probably be bumped up for sure. Like, he's a 9.5 at least. And then the rest of these units, I think maybe Harden could drop down to like an 8.5 at this point. Brave Hector is just straight up better than Harden. But I guess Harden does have built-in distant counters, so he's free to run any A-slot skill that he wants, like Distant Defense 4 and such. But when it comes to Brave Hector, he actually legit has the power creep version of Distant Counter with Ostian Counter. So even though Harden can run whatever A skill he wants, Hector having a better Distant Counter, I think, just puts him way over Harden for sure. And then for green, we've got Mamori, Fallen Robin, Winter Fae, Picnic Felicia. Okay, Picnic Felicia does not deserve to be this high. She's probably an 8.5. Brave Ephraim, Valentine's Hector, and Legendary Hector. Alright, yeah, pretty much besides Picnic Felicia, I think the rest of these units are fine. Oh, and Legendary Edelgard too, I forgot about her. I feel like Legendary Edelgard is a 9.5 as well. I would probably bump her up. Because, I mean, defensively or offensively, she can do it all. She's a very good unit. So Edelgard should definitely be bumped up to a 9.5. And then we have Winter Marth, Halloween Jacob, and Duma to wrap us up for 9.0 armored units. And I think that's fair. I mean, Halloween Jacob just lost all his purpose because Valentine Fae is pretty much better than him right out of the box. First of all, that Valentine Fae comes with all of the best skills that you would want on Halloween Jacob. And then on top of that, she has better stats than him in every category. So, yeah, I mean, that Fae just completely stole the role of this Jacob, unfortunately. But he is still very good, just being a bow unit with Bold Fighter and having the Brave Bow or the Spendthrift Bow is going to make him look really good. And Duma, I mean, there's not much to say about Duma. He's still very good. And Winter Marth as well, he's very good. He has a nice duo skill. Maybe it's not the best duo skill. I believe it grants bonus doubler to your armored allies and your flying allies, which is nice because those types of allies aren't normally allowed to inherit bonus doubler in the first place. So this Winter Marth does have a very nice duo skill. And I don't really have too many other comments to make there. And finally, we have the flying units here. So this is going to wrap us up. We have Flying Olivia, Summer Young Tiki, Altina, and Soiree Ishtar. Okay, I think Altina could probably be bumped up to a 9.5. She's one of the best Vantage units in the game. Honestly, she's probably the best Vantage unit in the game, except maybe that Kid Kata is the only one that's better, but built-in Brave Weapon with Distant Counter is pretty nuts. And then she has Twin Blades as well to pile on some crazy damage and negate the foe's damage reduction abilities. So Twin Blades is the middle finger to Irvan as well as Repel and Close Call. I think Altina definitely deserves to be a 9.5. As for the rest of these units, I think they're fine being a 9.0. Like, Ishtar is very good. She has a Brave Tome, and that's very rare. There's only 3 units in the game that have access to that. And she's also a dancer too, so Ishtar is definitely one of the better units. But I think Olivia and Tiki, they deserve to be probably 9.0 for sure. They don't really stand out too well anymore. And for blue, we've got Tsubasa, Spring Est, Young Pala, Naga, and Lilith. And okay, Young Pala has to be moved up to 9.5 and possibly even 9.9 because her duo skill is just broken. If they want to say Tibarn is a 9.9 because he's a flying unit with 3 moves, then how is Pala not a 9.9 when she does that for all your flying units? And on top of that, she guarantees that she gets quad attacks. Like, this Young Pala might just be the best melee unit for the player phase in the entire game. So she has to be moved up at least one tier. And then the rest of these units, I don't really think they stand out too much. Like, Tsubasa's fine, but she's not as good as Palace, so I guess she's fair to have down here. And then I don't really have too much to comment on with Lilith and Naga. They're just okay. So they should be in 9.0. And for green, we've got Myrrh, Rayson, Brave Micaiah, and Spring Fear. Okay, that's very interesting. I think Spring Fear could probably be bumped up as well. She's very good, one of the best Gale Force units in the game. Myrrh has not aged well at all. Like, if you want to talk about weapons that have not aged well, Myrrh's weapon is, like, completely fodder at this point. Because even if you meet the requirement, which needs her to be 5 defense higher than the foes, they could still just have null follow-up and completely negate it anyway. So, Myrrh really did not age well, unfortunately. I'd probably drop her down to an 8.5. And for racing, I think he's fair. He's one of the best free-to-play merges you can go for. So I don't mind him being up here. And Brave Micaiah is fine too. I mean, she has that unique beast skill, and she has double effectiveness on her weapons, so Brave Micaiah is always going to be useful for sure. And finally, we have Brave Camilla and Bride Fiorm for colorless. And honestly, I feel you could make the arguments that these two also get bumped up to the 9.5 tier. Flying staff units are super underrated, and there's just not a lot of them going around. And Camilla has the gravity effect on her weapon, while Fiorm has that isolation effect. Both of them are very powerful perf staff weapons, so I feel like they could probably be bumped up. They're also capable of setting up restore traps and Aether Raids. So these two are being a little bit slept on by Japan here, and I think they should be bumped up. So that's all for today, guys. That's going to cover us for the Japanese tier list. As always, this is your boy Tacho signing out. So take care, and I'll catch you guys again in the next one.